Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thank you for joining me today, as you do most days. Got a great crew. I appreciate you all, the positivity, the non-negative reinforcement. Yesterday was a winner. Had some problems with some folks here, but we're not going to keep that stuff here. We're going to move on from that and keep that positive atmosphere that we've got here on the show. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me today, as you hopefully do every day, Monday through Friday. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with you all. On Wednesdays, I'm over on Elite Sports with Jeff Mans. That's on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. That show is Monday through Friday at 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 4 days a week I'm here. Wednesdays I'm with Jeff from 2 to 5. You should watch this show, take an hour off, go listen to Jeff's show. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman is here, so we got you covered 5 days a week starting at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. What are we talking about today? Let's throw it up here on the old screen. Boom, there it is. We're going to talk some baseball. We got some injuries. We got some great performances to highlight. We've got some catchers to discuss. We've got some surprising results on the hill, I guess we should say. Some bullpen talk too. So some good, some bad there. But kind of a look around the league the last 24 or so hours. We'll do that today. In about 25 minutes, it's a Thursday, so Tyler Beaker will join us. We're going to talk about Jaxson Dart. I left the T off there on the screen. Sorry about that. Talk about Jaxson Dart and what that means, his ascension to the starting role for the Giants. What does that mean? The backfield with the Commanders, what's going on? What's going on with the Kansas City wide receivers? Everyone's in on Thornton. Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Calvin Ridley. Time to give up on Calvin Ridley? Travis Hunter? Should we give up on Travis Hunter? What's happening with Travis Hunter? We'll talk to Tyler about that. We'll also talk to Tyler about Brock Bowers. What is going on with the guy that couldn't fail? He's not failing, but he's certainly not succeeding. Is it the knee? Is it something else? We'll talk to Tyler about that. And then we'll review this game on Thursday night between Seattle and Arizona. What you need to know on Thursday night football. All right. Remember, if you're talking football, I got an update on this. So now we have some clarity on this. According to the boss, Jeff Mans, the deal that we have on the screen right now, the BOGO deal, apparently is going to be good for the rest of the month. So until the start of October, which is another week, you get the opportunity to buy DFS football and get betting football for free. Or to buy betting football and to get DFS football for free. So you got about a week left of this. It's going to end at the end of the month. And like I've said previously many times, like we talked about, I mean, you see on Tuesdays we have Amanda Marsal on the show. On Thursdays we have Tyler Beaker. On Fridays we have Russell Clay. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman has Rich Miletto. All these folks contribute articles to the football package. They do DFS, they do seasonal, they do wagering, all that kind of stuff. So you see these people on a weekly basis here on the show. Get signed up over at FG. It's a great product. It's a great community, except for a couple of people. It's a great community. And the price point of 50% off, you're not going to beat that. You can also still sign up for the seasonal football product too. If you want to get involved in seasonal because it's not going the way you hope for her to start, and you're like, dang, I wish I would have subscribed, send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. You can still sign up for the seasonal product. But buy DFS, get wagering. Buy wagering, get DFS for football. That's good until the end of the month. So please take advantage of that. All right, let's go. Boom, 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 boom. All right, here we go. Some baseball talk here before we get into the football side of things. Kyle Tucker, and it's really interesting. Kyle Tucker is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Will he sign with the Cubs? Someone else? Is he going to get $300 million, $400 million? Like, what's he going to get paid? He's a tremendous baseball player, and he's had another tremendous season. But we have yet another injury with him, and I don't know. Some guys are quote unquote fast healers. Some guys are slow healers. I don't know if it's fair to say Kyle Tucker's a slow healer, but it sure seems that way. He's got a calf injury right now. There still is not a timetable for his return to action for the Cubs. It's starting to seem almost impossible for him to be activated before the regular season is over. I mean, is he ready for playoffs starting next week? So it's really disappointing news to Kyle Tucker in the sense that we just don't have any clarity. I have Tucker on a couple of teams. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. Can't count on anything for him the rest of the season. That's unfortunate. Looks like he'll finish the season going 2020. 73 RBIs, 89 runs scored, hitting 270 with an 850 OPS. I mean, last year he had a 993 OPS, and he was on a pace for 40-20, but he only played 78 games. He has played 133 games this year, but still, this is 2 years in a row now where it's like, he'll get paid. He'll get paid a lot of money, and he'll likely be a star next season. But, let's also look at it this way. When you go 2020 with an 850 OPS and people are disappointed in your effort, you're a pretty good baseball player. But it just doesn't seem like we're going to see him back on the field. Before the season's over, hopefully he'll get back out there in the playoffs for the Cubs. Byron Buxton, I was talking to Phil Backert this morning. Byron Buxton hit his 32nd home run last night. He's also got 24 steals. And let's give it up to Byron Buxton, because Byron Buxton, for multiple years, was the number one prospect in all of baseball. That rarely happens. He was the number one prospect for multiple seasons. Began his big league career back in 2015, and we said things such as luminous Hall of Fame talent, right? Because it was true. Runs like the wind, has power. His defense is spectacular in the outfield. What do we get this year? Well, this year we got 116 games in the outfield. He's only DH 7 times. And while we hear 123 games, and it's like, it's 123 games. That's only the second time in his entire career that began in 2015 that this guy's played 105 games. This is the second most games he's ever played. And he's gone 30-20. Now, it took him 11 years. And again, this is why I'm giving him kudos. It took him more than a decade to get where everyone thought he would be a decade ago. And obviously his career to date has been a disappointment. But he's 24 for 24 in steals, hasn't been caught a single time, has gone deep 30 times, got 94 runs scored in just 123 games, despite a 327 on base percentage. That's pretty tough to do. And after last season's 859 OPS, the number's 866. Bottom line is, I think we have a very good handle on who Buxton is now offensively. It's really nice to see him. He's hit 260 the last 2 years too, which is great, right? He was hitting 230 before that. We know very, very concretely who he is, I think. The question really becomes, has he reached this peak here? He's 32 in December. Has he reached his peak, and is he going to be able to sustain it? 24 for 24 in steals. Well, he's obviously not repeating that. Remember, this is the first time he's stolen double-digit bases since 2019. Again, 123 games played, second most of his career. I still cheer for Byron Buxton. I root for Byron Buxton. I'm still not drafting him next season. I don't think you're likely going to want to do that either, because he did go 30-20. And someone's going to believe the hype and hope that he can go 40-30 if he plays 145 games. Tip of the cap. Took him 11 years to get there, but he finally got there for Byron Buxton. Cal Raleigh. I think I said at the All-Star break, my prediction for Cal Raleigh was 53 home runs. He had 59 and 60 last night. And this is remarkable. First catcher ever to hit 60 home runs in a season. It's only the 10th season of 60 home runs ever. And let's remember, Safeco Park, where he plays his home games, is the worst offensive environment in baseball the last 3 years for hitters. So remarkable season for Cal Raleigh. He joins Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, and Aaron Judge as the only players to reach 60 home runs. Judge hit his 50th, I think, last night. He's got the most RBIs by a catcher since like 1974 when Johnny Bench had 125. It's just been a phenomenal season. And the question next year will obviously become, where do we take Cal Raleigh? And I was having a discussion in Discord this morning with one of the users about Eugenio Suarez. And we got to be honest about Cal Raleigh. What's the guesstimate, everyone in your head? What's the guesstimate next year for when you look at projection models for Cal Raleigh's home run? I'm going to say 46. That's going to be my guess. Still a massive number. Still a huge number for a catcher-eligible player. He has played catcher 128 times this season. These are Hall of Fame level numbers for any offensive player, let alone a catcher. We'll dig into this in the offseason. We'll follow things up. We'll obviously come out with the numbers and the expectations, everything like that. But 60 home runs for a catcher. You drafted Cal Raleigh to go 30-80. And you paid a pretty good price for that. He's gone 61-25. Sometimes it works out. John G says 33-80-80. I think that, if you look at his track record, if you look at who he is, if you look at his home ballpark, 33-80-80 is pretty damn good. Now, if you're taking him in the third round, which he might go next year, It'll be fascinating to follow that one as we go through the season. Angela says Johnny Bench was your favorite player growing up. Remember the baseball bunch? Every once in a while that pops up on my feed on YouTube. I often see the one where Ted Williams comes in, and Ted Williams, I don't know, he's 65 years old and he's ripping balls all over the place. But the baseball bunch by Johnny Bench, that was one of my favorites when I was young too. All right, let's move on from that. Let's talk Francisco Alvarez, another catcher. Francisco Alvarez went 1-for-2 with the home run last night, and Alvarez has had a messy season. We have chronicled his season on this show in articles over at fantasyguru.com. The hope that he would emerge this season just hasn't happened. Or has it? Given all the injuries, the start-stops, the demotions, the in and out of the lineup, he's had 73 games played. Now, is he going to play 150 games as a catcher? Probably not. But let's just say he plays 150 games for the sake of argument here. That'd put him at 20 home runs, which would be a little bit lower than you would expect from him, but still 20 home runs for a catcher. We can deal with that. 60 home runs, 60 RBIs, 60 run scores. Again, not great, but okay. The real exciting piece here is the 260 batting average, because this is a guy who came into the season hitting 210, right? How has he hit 260? Well, he's walked a little bit more. He's actually just done better job hitting. The exit velocity numbers compared to last season are up almost 5 miles an hour, which is a massive, massive jump. Okay. The barrel rate is almost double last season. The hard hit rate is up 12%. They're really intriguing numbers here with Alvarez. He, of course, has to prove he can stay healthy. But this is a really good season for him, wrapped around all the injuries that he's dealt with. Samuel Basallo, day-to-day with the right wrist contusion. X-rays came back negative for any fractures. The season's got days left here. Is Basallo's year done for the Baltimore Orioles? Possibly. Really disappointing start to his career. He's only 21 years old by a month. Okay, so he's only 21 years old. So let's not get crazy here. He's still looked at as the best hitting option of any catcher in baseball. Good news, because of the injury to Adley Rutschman, he has played catcher 21 times, Basallo, so he will qualify at catcher next year. Yes. Didn't look like that was going to happen, but then Adley Rutschman got hurt and it happened. We're 29 games in for Basallo. 22% K rate. Terrific. Not overmatched. Great news here. Let's look at his O swing rate. 40%. Atrocious. So he hasn't struck out, but he's really expanded the strike zone a lot. And that's something that young players often do. It's something he'll have to be more efficient at. But it's really nice to see, even though he's swung at way too many pitches out of the strike zone, he's not striking out, right? That's really impressive for a young player. So that's a positive. The 50% ground ball rate, that's not good. He's got to lift the ball more. We see that a lot with young players. His launch angle right now, 13%, not bad. But he does need to do a better job of scoring the baseball up, because, again, 50% ground ball rate is just not where we want to be. Batted ball data is very moderate. There's not much to get excited about here. But I think in the end, he didn't look overmatched. Even though the production was poor, I think he's got great footing. And the biggest key is next year Basallo will qualify at catcher. Here we go. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, John, Ethan, Angelo, everybody in the chat. Appreciate you all. Spencer Horwitz, I mentioned him was it Tuesday? We were having a little discussions. Someone was asking, hey, give me some bench names. And I don't know if Horwitz is owned. What's Spencer Horwitz owned here? Let's pull him up. Over on RT Sports, he's owned in 10% of leagues. So I guess it depends where you're playing. And he's not sexy or exciting. But he qualifies at second and first, I think, pretty much every league. And the truth of the matter is, his overall numbers are very blue. But really, of late, over the last month, batting 276 with an 830 OPS. Over the last 2 weeks, batting 300 with a 970 OPS. And Horwitz he's never going to have a standout game. Let me say that again. He can have standout games. He doesn't have a standout overall offensive game, is what I meant to say. He's not going to steal bases. He's not going to power the baseball. Just a moderate guy there. But he gets on base. 341 on base percentage as a rookie. 357 last year. 341 this year. That's not bad. Traditionally speaking, he would profile as a number 2 hitter in a lineup. 18% strikeout rate, 350 on base percentage. Like traditionally, we'll see if he can bring the batting average up a little bit as we move forward here. But he's only played first base this year, so he will lose that dual position eligibility next year. As a first base only option, Spencer Horwitz, obviously just a bye-week fill-in, an injury fill-in kind of piece. He's not a draftable piece unless you're playing in an only league next year. Let's talk some pitching here. I was wrong about Jacob DeGrom. Now, to be fair, everyone that drafted him was wrong about him too, because he was spectacular. Now, these numbers, and we'll go through them here in a second, these numbers are pretty much prime time Jacob DeGrom. K rate is way down, okay? And that's, again, understandable. He still had a 28% strikeout rate. The league average about 23%, so he's still way above that. The last couple years, 32%, 39%, 43%, 45%, 39%. So his K rate is way down. His walk rate is way up. It's at 5.5%, though. The last 4 years, the mark was a high of 3.5%. This year, it's 5.5%, so it's way up, but it's still a great number. The bottom line is 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio is not quite what you expect from Jacob DeGrom, but it's still an elite number. So there's no issue there. The biggest thing is the 172 innings pitched. And we've talked about this a lot. The last time he threw 95 innings at the big league level, 95, which is roughly half of the 172 he threw. Back in 2019, it was before COVID. So this is a win for everybody that took a chance on a guy they shouldn't have. His ADP was far too high. Sometimes it works out. It worked out this year. The real question is, will this guy, Jacob DeGrom, be a top 5 starting pitcher next year in the rankings for people? He's 37 years old. He turned 37 in June, so he'll be 38 next year. Still only has 1 season and 6 years of 100 innings pitched. Still's had all the injury. We'll talk more about him, but I just wanted to tip of the cap. I was totally wrong about DeGrom. He was not just good, he was spectacular this season. Yeah, Ray Flowers does admit when he's wrong. Stephen Kolek, I was having a discussion about him in Discord last night. And he went out and had 3 runs, 2 earned in 6 innings. Finished pretty strongly. And that was against the Angels. Quality start, pretty damn good. He finished the year with 3.5 ERA. Not a lot of missed bats for Kolek. That's not his game, but he does keep the ball on the ground. Looks like he's got a chance to be part of the rotation for the Royals next season. He went 5 for 5, I think, his last 5 starts, quality start wise. Really good for Kolek here. So, way to go. And he's one of these streaming type options. We talked about him. I think we talked about him on the show. By the way, I'm looking at this. I'm in Tout Wars. I've talked about this a lot. I won Tout Wars last year. The previous year I played in this league, I was 2nd place, currently in 3rd place. So I'm looking to complete the trifecta of the podium this year and finish in 3rd. I had my best pitching night of the season last night. Luis Castillo, quality start, 1 run in 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. Jesus Luzardo, we'll talk about in a second. 1 run allowed, unearned, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. Bryce Elder, 7 strikeouts, quality start. Kolek, 6 innings, quality start. My team last night had a 1.98 ERA, a 0.6 whip, and 29 strikeouts in 27 innings. And 2 of those guys were Kolek and Elder. Yes. So hopefully I can hang on there and finish in 3rd place in that league. But Kolek, nice finish this season there. One of the good pickups. Ryne Nelson's really interesting. Ryne Nelson was doing some digging on Ryne Nelson because you look at Ryne Nelson and you watch him pitch and you're like, and you think to yourself, yeah, he's okay. And then you look at the end of the year and it's like, well, this is now a couple of years in a row where he's been really effective, especially the second half last season, right? And you look at his numbers this year and it's like his whip was 107 and his ERA was 3.4. And you say to yourself, well, his walk rate is solid. He doesn't miss bats. His 21% strikeout rate. Keeps the ball in the yard pretty well. But he's not a big ground ball guy. His ground ball, fly ball is, 1. Like, how is this guy having his success that he's having? And it comes down to induced vertical break. His fastball has more carry than most. Given his release point, the way the ball travels, tricks the batter. Okay, and this is in essence what happens. He tricks the batter into thinking the ball's going to be here and the ball's here. So there's not much. We're talking like an inch difference. It's not a big, but when you're swinging a baseball bat at a 94-mile-an-hour pitch coming in at you, if you're off by a 16th of an inch, you're going to make an out. And we're talking about 2 inches of potential carry, right? So that's the biggest key here. He's got a lot of that carry on his fastball, and it just causes the batters, I think, a little bit of funk. They just can't square him up very well. And, you see that he gave up a 91% exit velocity, which is really high, but only a 7% barrel rate. So he's another one of these guys that doesn't wow you, but we're talking a year and a half of some pretty good work this season. He'll be one of these mid-rotation guys that everyone's excited about in 2026. Jesus Luzardo, I just talked about, 3 hits, 1 run. It was unearned, 10 strikeouts. He's ready for the postseason. And, we've had the love-hate relationship with Luzardo. I've had Luzardo. I probably would have 2 extra points in the standings in Tout Wars we were just talking about, if I had taken him out of those 3 starts where he got battered beyond belief, I think I only had him out of the lineup for 1 of the 3. But you look at his last 3 outings, he's got 46 strikeouts in 38 innings pitched. By the way, 216 strikeouts this year. ERA dropped in the 3.9s with the effort last night. 1.22 whip. He's basically, Luzardo, been this season the left-handed Dylan Cease. He also, by the way, won 15 games this year, did Luzardo. So 15 victories, 216 strikeouts, and a 1.2 whip. Overall, tremendous. Now, there were massive beatdowns, and I haven't put, what did he give up? 20 runs in 5, was it 20 runs in 5 innings? It's something absurd like that. That ERA could be 2.9 this year. Like, it really could, given how he's pitched. But it's 3.9 because of those couple of games. Fantastic. Last 3 starts, 0.7 whip. The last 6 starts, 0.91 whip. A really good season overall. An excellent September. Just a couple outings where he got his brains beaten in. Crazy. Angela says that the Reds are in a rain delay. Yeah, play in the West Coast, play in domes. Play on the West Coast, play in domes. Play on the West Coast, play in domes. A couple of notes here. The bullpen, and then we'll get some comments here before we talk some football with Tyler Beaker. Josh Hader, who's got the shoulder issue. He's yet to start throwing again. The Astros obviously trying their darndest to make the playoffs. We'll see if they do. What we do know right now is that his shoulder is healing. The imaging is showing that everything looks better, but he hasn't been cleared to resume throwing yet. So even if they were ready to make the postseason next week, I mean, he's not throwing yet. So even if the Astros make the postseason, is he even available in the first round? Probably not. Just wanted to give the update there, Josh Hader. And by the way, Hader, we'll talk a lot about a lot of things in the offseason and heading into next year. Hader failed this season, just missed. And by that, I mean for a 5th consecutive 30 save season, 34, 36, 33, 34, 28. So he just fell short. Not that 28 is a bad number, just loses him that streak of 30 save seasons. He had the longest active streak in all of baseball with that 4 consecutive year run. Yes, and I'd have to look it up now. I don't know if anyone has 3 in a row. Oh, and by the way, Edwin Diaz, who everyone has to draft every year, absurdly high, 27 saves. I don't know why. I don't get it. Anyway, let's move on. Roki Sasaki, who came into the season with such promise, then started losing velocity. Then there were concerns about his health. Then he got sent to the minors, and he wasn't progressing, and he got shut down, and they were coming back. And when he was coming back, there was no chance he'd make it back to the big leagues. All of a sudden, he found like 3 miles an hour velocity. All of a sudden, he had a couple of nice outings. Now he's back in the big leagues. And there are rumblings that are growing that Sasaki could potentially even close games for the Dodgers in the postseason. Kolek has been a mess. It seems like everyone in the Dodger bullpen has been injured at some period of time. Tanner Scott has had a very volatile season. Roki Sasaki could be working not just high leverage innings. He could actually be closing games for the Dodgers in the playoffs, which is crazy. I mean, when you follow the track record of his 2025 campaign, if he ends the year with saves in the playoffs, what a crazy season for him. But that's where we're at right now. So that's a potential situation. Obviously, the goal would be to get him back in the starting rotation next year. We all know that. But right now, I mean, hell, they used Clayton Kershaw out of the bullpen last night. So we'll see what the Dodgers do come playoff time. I know that the Dodgers are the evil empire west, of course, but they probably go Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell as their top 3 guys, and that's it. And then everyone else is in the bullpen. But Clayton Kershaw out of the bullpen. That's pretty wild here as he ends his career. All right, let's look at some of the comments I saw earlier. A question here. Fred C's got a question. Let's go to some football talk. Do I start both Benson and Walker tonight? I also have Dobbins and Swift. I can only start 3. I know it's Thursday, but I now have 2 starters at running back. Yeah. So the answer to this question, and I think Fred knows this, the answer to everyone is yes. Who do you start? Yes. All 4 of these guys, Benson, Walker, Dobbins, and Swift, should be started every week in every league, period. Now, luckily in the case of Fred, or unluckily in the case of Fred has got 4 running backs that should be started every week. He's got 4 running backs that are top 25 running backs. He has 4 running backs that should be started every week. Who do you leave out? Well, I don't think there's an obvious answer to who to leave out. We are getting reports that Charbonnet should suit up tonight for Seattle. I know some people are concerned about that. I'm not concerned about that. If it was my team, and again, it's not my team because I would never have these 4 guys. If it was my team, I'm sitting Swift. I'm not telling any of you to sit Swift because again, I think we have him running back 21. So we're not sitting Swift. But in this case, I think Fred, we're sitting Swift. If you're concerned about Walker and you wanted to sit him for Swift, I'm not going to say that's the wrong thing to do. It's not what I would do. If you wanted to sit Benson because of the difficult matchup this week and say, I'm going to go Swift, that's fine. I think we have Benson at 19 this week. So plus and minus, you've got good depth. That's a plus. You give yourself a bunch of options. You've had Benson ascend. This is fantastic. Negative is it's impossible to decide who to start, and you're often going to make the wrong call. I would say this to you as a closing comment, Fred. Don't trade any of these 4 running backs. Okay, don't do it. It's too, and I see a lot of people doing this in Discord, asking questions and making trades. Week 4 is not the time to trade away running back depth. It's too early in the season. Benson wasn't a thing a week ago, right? Right? I would be stunned. Is Dobbins going to play 12 games this year? History says probably not. So keep your 4 guys. I would sit Swift this week, but again, I don't think there is a wrong answer here to sit somebody. I think they're all top 21 running backs on our team this season, on our league this season. Macho 1000K said, "You like Murray rushing tonight?" I don't know. I don't know what the prop is for Murray's rushing, so I can't say. Macho. It's probably 35 yards. He's always in 32 yards, 29 yards. I don't know what the hell it is. He's always in play to run for 40 yards. Kyler Murray is kind of the bane of my existence. A lot of people seemingly have Kyler Murray on their team and they're frustrated now. They're going to drop Kyler Murray. This is Kyler Murray. You shouldn't have drafted him if you were going to get frustrated after 3 weeks of this and drop him. Because as soon as you do that, Kyler Murray goes out, produces 3 touchdowns, throws for 242 yards, and runs for 73 yards. This is Kyler Murray. This is the Kyler Murray experience. Eric S. asks, "Good morning, Ray. AL MVP, who do you have? Raleigh or Judge?" I think it should be Raleigh. I'm curious to what you think. I have not, to be honest, Eric. I've seen some of this and I've read some of the articles. I haven't really dug into this. I know a lot of people are making the big deal over the F war and the B war. They're having that battle of war because I think it's, which one? Is it Fangraphs that counts catcher defensive framing or something? One of the two gives more credence to defensive catching than the other one. So in one of the 2 wars, they have like the same mark, and the other one, there's like a gap here. Let's see. Who would I go with? I think I probably would go Raleigh. Man, though, but look at Judge's numbers. And again, it's not all just about the raw numbers, and it's not just about WAR, even though everyone tries to. WAR, for those people that don't know, is the attempt to take everything a player does on the field and break it down just to one number, so you can compare second base to third base and starting pitcher to relief pitcher and pitcher to hitter, that kind of thing. I mean, Judge is killing him in batting average. He's killing him in on-base percentage. He's got a better OPS. He's got a better isolated power mark. He's got a better strikeout rate. He's got a better walk rate. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go Judge. It'll be fascinating to see, though. It'd be hard when a guy sets a historic number, 60 catcher home runs. It's going to be hard for Raleigh not to win that one. I'll go Judge, but as you can tell, it's very, very close. Is Edmundo Sosa the greatest power hitter of our generation, Ethan? No? I like it, though. I see the happy face there. Don't worry. I know you're just kidding. Phillies, we're having some Philly talk here. Good to go, everyone. Ethan's got a question here about some football. PPR, 2 flex. 2 running back and 2 flex. Well, we just talked about these 3 guys, Swift, Walker, and Benson. Again, all 3 of them should be started in every league. In this situation, you'd sit Swift. Now, Judkins is here too. So Judkins, what do we have Judkins? I'm going to say Judkins is right there too. Judkins, he's 28, so he's the lowest one. So if this is my team, and you're asking me, Ethan, so let's assume it is my team. Where's my page? I can't even get back to where I'm going. We're going to start Walker and Benson at running back. At the flex spot, we're going to start Pittman and Swift. So there you go. If you wanted to go Judkins over Pittman again, you could do that. But I'm going to go Swift, Walker, Benson, and Pittman. All right. And then finally, Tony T, before we visit with Tyler Beaker. Already starting Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, Tootin in the flex. Tootin's got the shoulder injury. He's missing practice time. Everyone at this point in time expects him to play. I we've got Charbonnet, who's the reports are kind of like he was fine. They just did this and they let him sit a game, all that kind of stuff. But he is coming back from a minor injury. I'm just going to go Tootin and Walker. It's not wrong to play dual running backs. Okay, it's not wrong, but it doesn't mean it's right. And on a short week, maybe both guys get 10 carries tonight. Both guys get 1 target, and both guys get a carry at the goal line. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things. I'd split it. I'd go Tootin and Walker. We'll see how it goes for you tonight, Tony. All right, so there's some talk about football, and we'll keep that football talk going here. Every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, we visit with our man Tyler Buecher. He's part of the DFS live stream. He hosts actually on Friday nights at fantasyguru.com. He's often on the Tuesday night live stream talking seasonal fantasy football, taking your questions, all of that. He's here with us every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He's constantly in Discord over at fantasyguru.com answering questions and obviously writing all kinds of articles, breakdown articles, in-depth stuff, graphs, charts, analysis. He's pretty good at that stuff. Let's bring him in today. It's Tyler Buecher, fantasyguru.com. Tyler, how you doing today?
Doing good. Having some internet trouble, so a few minutes late. Hope I didn't cause any delays, but excited to be here and to chat some Thursday Night Football with you.
Oh, no, you're good. I just gave some bad answers to the folks that asked questions, so we're good. We didn't have your analysis there. It was just mine. But, yeah, how you doing today other than the internet stuff? Things good?
Good. Getting through the weeks. Thank goodness we've got some games off the main slate. We've got our first international game. We've got a pair of Monday Night Football games. So I'm very excited to have a condensed slate to focus on for the DFS angles.
Yeah, the foreign games and I don't. Are you a fan of that? I don't know. I remember last time we talked about it.
I don't want to ever complain about this job, but okay. I don't get the luxury of watching these morning games where I used to maybe before having this ability to work this job.
Right.
I used to love as an East Coaster, we didn't have to do the 6:30 a.m. wake up thing that you guys have to do.
Right.
9:30 a.m. is much more palpable, but sure. It runs the whole day when you're an East Coaster. You're watching football from the morning all the way until the sun sets. So it's a great day of football, but it's sometimes tiring, but I miss it.
Well, it's interesting, and I think about that too, because I remember the first time I was back east during football, because normally I don't travel. We talked about this last week off air. Yeah. Normally I don't travel during football season. One time I was traveling for work, and it was bizarre. It's 9 o'clock, nothing's happening. It's 10 o'clock, nothing's happening. It's 11 o'clock, we're out at brunch, nothing's happening. It's like, where are the football games? Because I've always lived on the West Coast, and I've started my workday at 6:15 in the morning for 15 years. It was such a weird experience to live the day and now football starts. So yeah, totally different.
Yep. It's nice to get some errands done before I'll say the non-international games.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got the whole morning open to you. Very, very different lifestyle here. And man, I can't even imagine the Thursday night games or the Monday night games where you've got to go immediately home from work to watch it. We've got time to cook dinner, relax, right. Unwind, and then the game comes on.
Right. You got to start the game and record it and hope your DVR is working right so that you can you can catch that. I don't know if you can even do that depending on what service you got. Tyler Buecher, fantasyguru.com. Let's dig into this a little bit. We have a big change at the quarterback spot this week. We've had a lot of quarterback issues with health to this point. We're getting a performance decision this week. The Giants doing what everyone expected, going to Jaxson Dart. We all knew this would happen. Maybe it's a little sooner than I thought. I think I predicted 6 games for Russell Wilson or something like that. So it's a little bit earlier than I thought. They've already announced that he's our quarterback the rest of the season. And this is, you can't make this move unless you're certain, because if you put Dart in and then 4 games from now you want to pull him back out, so you got to be. So a lot of times teams do wait a little bit longer to make that switch because it's easy to say, well, our veteran stinks, we're going to give it to the young guy. You give it to the young guy and he stinks, really tough to go back to the veteran. Who is Jaxson Dart right now? He had a great preseason. I know there's a lot of hype and interest about Jaxson Dart. Who is Jaxson Dart right now? How do you look at him? Mid-level QB2, low-level QB2? And what does he do for the offense, specifically Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, watching that Sunday Night Football game was nauseating. I hated every moment of it. I think I turned off the fourth quarter at one point because I just was sick of watching Russell Wilson and his terrible play. So if you're a Giants fan, you are excited. And when we looked back at this schedule as the Giants got their schedule for 2025, there really wasn't a clean spot to insert when Jaxson Dart would show up.
Right.
Fast forward 3 weeks, coming off a primetime blow-up game of Russell Wilson, I don't mind this spot at all. When you add the angle that the Chargers just lost their best pass rusher in Khalil Mack. He's on IR. They're 31st in blitz rate. They got back their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, a week before. Like, there's a chance that we got some protection up here, and we've got some time for Dart in the pocket. It's not a terrible matchup as far as that goes in terms of the trenches. It's still the Giants, though. Like, we got to take that with a grain of salt. The preseason, though, Dart looked phenomenal. He had one of the best passing stat lines there. I believe he was the number one PFF highest graded passer, if I'm not mistaken. He looked great passing. He also ran for a score, and that's what we're going to get with Dart. The dual threat ability comes to us from Ole Miss, where he led the nation in yards per attempt his final year. So he's able to get the ball down the field, pick up some big gains. And he's comes from an RPO offense where he's able to also run the ball as well whenever those opportunities present themselves. Add in the fact they've got the most exciting hammer in Cam Scatterbo. Man, that was like the singular exciting part for the Giants on Sunday Night Football, was seeing him actually play. But with Tyrone Tracy expected to be out for the next 3 weeks or so, looks like Scatterbo will be that lead back. I like this new look Giants team against the Chargers, who come in. LAC is a 6-point road favorite, but I expect Dart to make this a fun, interesting, and hopefully competitive game. That's all I think Giants fans can ask for as they go up against Herbert and company. But man, I'm just excited for it. I think the matchup here is not exactly overwhelming either. There's some beatable cornerbacks on the outside. Dante Jackson, Benjamin St. Juste, Malik Neighbors, no stranger to beating up on St. Juste last year. Yeah, I like the spot. I think there's a good chance that we see Neighbors get back to a ceiling performance. We saw him with multiple quarterbacks able to do that last year. Wandale, man, I don't know what to say about Wandale. He was that low PPR guy last year. The addition of Russ elevated the average depth of throw for almost everybody in terms of where everyone was getting targets. So we'll see if that carries over with Ward or not. But you go back to Neighbors with confidence. I like playing them actually in DFS games as like a contrarian play because everyone's going to want to see it first with Dart. So I like playing Neighbors as like a bring back with Omer and Hampton, which I imagine will be incredibly popular. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing the Giants. It's a breath of fresh air.
Tony asked, anyone besides Neighbors really of interest now with Dart? You kind of hit on it there, but anyone? Jalen Hyatt? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Dart will attack down the field, so it does add some life for Slayton. But I'll just say I'm not. It's week 4. We've got nobody on bye. We don't need to really go to the ancillary plays right now. We can feel this one out. We can root for our neighbor squads, but we don't really need to jam in Slayton or Wandale Robinson or even Theo Johnson, really.
Let's go to the Commander situation. And Jacory, Krosky, Merritt, Bill missed practice yesterday. We then heard it's no big deal. He's going to play. What's going on with this backfield? Is he the lead guy? Is Chris Rodriguez the lead guy? Does it matter? Jeff Manns has been pretty critical of people picking up Jeremy McNichols, who just had the best rushing game of his career, and it's like his 8th season. It was a great run. It was like a 60-yard run, but come on, we know who Jeremy McNichols is. What's going on here? Is there anything to see? Or not to mention, we still don't know about the quarterback this week yet again. But what are we doing with this backfield? Like I don't have any. Maybe I have Chris Rodriguez in one league that I just grabbed him, off the waiver wire kind of thing. But I don't have any. I just wasn't investing in this backfield. What are we doing with it?
Yeah, wise of you to not invest in this backfield. It's an absolute mess. We've got multiple players here, multiple roles, and also multiple players that are extending beyond their typical roles. Outside Bill. Bill's not really a pass catcher. But yeah, I mean, the big run for McNichols was fantastic for the 1% of you guys that had him in best ball leagues, but this guy wasn't started anywhere. So those that picked him up, he was still on their benches. So it was an irrelevant play. And so move on. Like, there's nothing to really get excited here. This is a full-blown committee. That's not going anywhere. This rotation is going to be a headache for fantasy all season long. I have very little interest in any of these guys because I don't think at any point this year will they be confident start-sit plays. They're going to be, at best, flex plays. And do with that what you will. I think those low ceiling plays are really more or less roster cloggers. So I don't really have a ton of Commanders on my squads either, to be honest with you guys.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Let's go to the situation with the Chiefs. We got a lot of growing interest with Tyquan Thornton, which is understandable. He's basically been the passing game after week 1, at least, where Hollywood Brown had those insane 16 targets. We do get reporting that it seems likely that Xavier Worthy's going to play this week. We don't know what his role is going to be. We obviously know that Rashee Rice is a couple of weeks away. When he comes back, very likely he becomes the wide receiver 1. So talk us through this grouping of wide receivers and specifically Thornton. Is it just fool's gold to be all in on this guy? Has he got a couple of week window here and then Rice comes back and he's a nobody? Or does he have a real chance to carve out a role here? Because remember, we're talking Rice, Worthy, Brown, Thornton. Where's he fit for you?
Tough one. I'll say entering this week, Patrick Mahomes is third worst in catchable throw rate right now. That's not ideal. Yeah. But he's also throwing deep down the field to a guy like Thornton as his wide receiver one. Yeah. So getting a guy like Worthy back who practiced in full yesterday, I fully expect him back. I don't expect there to be any limitation. He's the guy that I think we really want to gravitate our attention towards, with Thornton being kind of more of the back to the boom bust option that he was in week one. So I'm not really aggressively targeting him off waivers whatsoever. I don't think I'm throwing any beds in any of my leagues for him, to be honest, because I think there's a chance that that volume that he saw last week goes over to Worthy, who they can manufacture touches for. I mean, his last 8 games, I believe he had 40-plus catches and 5-plus receptions in every single one of them prior to entering the 2025 season. So he ended 2024 on a hot streak. I expect that to carry over while Rice is still banged up. Haven't really seen much from Kelsey aside from some drop touchdowns. Haven't seen much from Worthy aside from the Hollywood aside from the 116 target game. It's just been a mess. So I think Worthy's return will be really, really helpful for this offense. And he comes at a great time against the Ravens here, and which should be an interesting week 4 matchup there.
Titans stink. Okay.
Yeah.
They do. And again, part of this is Cam Ward, a rookie quarterback, starting in week 1. This is what happens, right? Calvin Ridley, though. Calvin Ridley actually has the highest target share of his career. He's got a 37% air yard mark, which is basically where he's been the last 2 years. He's still got that same role in the offense he's always had. The problem is the offense is not working. You know, Ayamanor is getting interest, and he's got this nice growing connection with Ward. And then you've got DK floating around, Lockett floating around. What are we doing with Ridley? We're not starting Ridley. I think it's fair to say that. Are you still holding Ridley? Like, if you're in a 10-team league, are you holding him? 12-team league, 14-team league? Are you still starting him? Am I totally off thinking there's going to be a moment where this happens? What are we doing with Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, we talked about the NFL schedule makers not being kind for the Giants. They were even worse to the Titans. This opening schedule is absolutely brutal for this rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. And unsurprisingly, he currently leads the league in under pressure rate. He's been under pressure on 43% of his dropbacks. I talked about the catchable target rate. Cam Ward is just one notch right above where Patrick Mahomes is 4th worst in this category. He's down 2 starting offensive linemen. And now Ward himself is on the injury report with an ankle and calf injury. Yep. The matchup doesn't get any better here in week 4 against Houston, who's top 5 in pass rush win rate, top 10 in blitz rate. Good Lord, this man just cannot catch a break. And now he's got Calvin Ridley, his top wide receiver, being shadowed by Derek Stingley, one of the top up-and-coming corners, who's currently allowing a 50% catch rate when targeted this season. I think Ridley is at best a flex play, but I don't think after last week you can do it with any confidence. A one-catch game is just, that's worse than CeeDee Lamb getting injured and giving you a 0. Like, right. Man, what a kick in the nuts. So I think Ridley is not a player I'd be dropping. I mean, we're getting a lot of questions of how much do I target Ridley off waivers, because other owners had dropped him. Right. I said 3 to 5%. Like, you don't need to break the bank for him, but he's still the wide receiver 1 here. He's still out targeting A.O. Manor, but the matchups don't get any easier. So I think it's still just kind of a throw a cheap fab play at him and let him join your bench. And hopefully once the bye weeks start piling up, you'll find a flex-worthy outing for him. But man, it's just been a slow start for this offense here in Tennessee.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Slow starts. Let's talk Jacksonville Jaguars.
God.
Yeah, I know. Travis Hunter, like, this whole arc with Travis Hunter is so fascinating, and I don't think it really makes any sense because they traded all this draft capital to move up in the draft to take him. The moment they drafted him, they said he's a wide receiver. Season starts, he's a wide receiver. Now the season's he's playing defense as much as he's playing offense. He's playing defense more than he's playing offense. He's not contributing on offense. He's getting some targets here and there, not doing anything, not catching the ball. He looks, and this is, who am I to say? He looks weak. He looks weak as a catcher. He gets hit, blows him over. He's falling over. There's tremendous talent here. And there's a certain need because Brian Thomas ain't getting it done. This offense is just not working through the air. What are we doing with Travis Hunter? Again, another guy we're not starting, but toward the end of draft season, he was going in the 6th and 7th round. Like, people were taking him as their wide receiver 2 or certainly their 3. Right now, he's looks more like Calvin Ridley than that guy. What are we doing with Travis Hunter?
It's tough. Yeah, he had that one catch last week as well. Another one catch player. He got 2 total targets in last week's game where Oh my God. He looked good after the catch though. I mean, on that singular gain, it was a quick little out and he turned it into a 21-yard gain total, but 2 total targets is pathetic for a player you traded up to get number 2 overall.
Yeah,
they have to get him more involved. Like, no disrespect to Parker Washington, but he should not be getting more targets than what we're getting.
He got 11 last week.
He did. The increased defensive snaps are also not great for the narrative play and the stigma around him. But I just want to expand the question of being super concerned about the Jaguars in its entirety. Liam Cohen was supposed to maximize what we're going to see here in Trevor Lawrence in this passing attack. I just worry the ceiling's capped with Lawrence, and we just don't have a guy that can elevate the players around him. So I'm just I've got, like you said, you were getting Travis Hunter round 6, round 7. Anytime he's slipped, I was grabbing him. So I've got him in quite a few squads, but he was borderline flex play for me last week. I think this week I'd rather go anywhere else than just let it see it. Let's just see it play out. They're on the road against the 49ers, a bend not break defense as well. So maybe that's just a slow overall pace of play kind of game. If you miss Hunter's breakout game, so be it. But man, he and Brian Thomas Jr. are just pain in the butts to start the year.
I'm also a pain in the butt sometimes. At least some folks say that. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Let's talk about a guy who's been in the pain in people's butts because the performance has not been up to expectations. A 6th or 7th round pick disappointing is rough. A 2nd or 3rd round pick disappointing is really rough. Brock Bowers, his yards per route run is down. His target share is down. His yards after the catch are down. His air yards are down. His receptions a game are down. His yards are down. Now, he's still averaging, 11 PPR points, so it's not been a killer. But you didn't draft him to give it 11 points. Is it the knee with Brock Bowers? Is it something with the offense that you're seeing? Are you concerned? Is this, hey, Ray, this is as bad as it's going to get. Don't worry. What's going on with Brock Bowers?
Yeah, coming off that week 1 knee injury, I remember seeing reports that this was supposed to be a multi-week thing, and I was very surprised that he just suited up and played. So I just think he's laboring through an injury. The good news is we've seen his route participation tick up with each passing week. So in week 1, it was 59%. In week 2, it was 79%. And then in week 3, 88%. So he's slowly getting out there more in the field, more routes and opportunities. Michael Mayer left last week's game with a concussion, possibly leading to more volume here for Bowers here in week 4. It's a fantastic matchup against the Chicago Bears. They're very beat up at both the slot corner and the linebacker position. Great spots for where Bowers runs a lot of his routes. So I really like targeting him as a bounce back candidate for DFS purposes. I think he's a really good play this week, and I'm not worried. I'm not hitting the panic button on him. I guess you could also say the same worry concerns with Ashton Genty. I think once we get past this week 4 juicy matchup against the Bears and we still have issues, then we could smack that panic button. As for now, just wait to see how the Raiders play against Chicago at home, and what should be a high-scoring game. Very, very bullish on these Raiders that we've spent a lot of high capital on in our fantasy drafts, turning it around here in this week.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Join us on Thursdays at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, generally for about a half hour, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. We always talk Thursday night football with him after we kind of look around the league as we just did. So let's dive into this game. We've already answered some questions here. If you missed any of it, you can always listen to the show on demand, rewind, all that kind of good stuff. Many places to find the show. Go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the toolbar on the page, fantasyguru.com. Wherever you listen to podcasts, type in Fantasy Sports Daily. You should be able to find us there. And then 3 places you can watch, and as you can see, leave questions and comments throughout the show. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. Tyler, let's talk some Thursday night football. Seattle and Arizona. Let's start at the quarterback position. Kyler Murray, I kind of said this earlier. It's like people are disappointed in Kyler Murray, and this is Kyler Murray. He's going to have 22-point games, going to have 14-point games, and in the end, he's QB 11. I haven't changed my opinion at all. Is he frustrating to watch? Yes. Do I draft him? No. Do I want him on my teams? No. Is there concern with him? I'm going to say no. What say you in this matchup tonight against Seattle?
Yeah, I think we're in lockstep here with our views on Murray. I'm just kind of done with this dude. Mm-hmm. He is running a bit more this year, which is at least a net positive for his fantasy bottom line. But he's also played in some blowout scripts where he hasn't really needed to push the pace. This game also looks like another slow-paced matchup where I'm just not expecting a lot of points on the board. The over-under is 43.5. I'm expecting not a lot of scoring here in this matchup here between these two divisional rivals. Seattle's defense, they get back Witherspoon, huge get for them in the slot, which should slow down Trey McBride to hopefully some certain degree. But I just think it's going to be a tough spot here for any kind of ceiling performance from Kyler, who just really needs that offense that jumps out to a massive lead, and then for him to play catch up, for him to get that ceiling fantasy outing that we're looking for. I just don't see it happening here.
Let's talk about the backfield, and this is something we need to focus on both teams because there's great storylines on both sides. Let's stick with the Cardinals first. Trey Benson, right? Okay, here we go. For those people that handcuffed your running back, good for you. For those of you that didn't do it, this is what happens when you don't do it. For those of you that randomly grabbed Benson, which most of you probably did because no one handcuffs their running backs, you got a guy now that's looking at 15 plus touches a week. And it's very reasonable, in my opinion, Tyler, to see him basically just replace James Conner, 12 to 15 carries, 3-5 targets, and we'll see. And then DeMarcado being a support piece there. Is that how you see it long-term with Benson? And more specifically, you mentioned Witherspoon coming back. More specifically, what does it look like tonight for the rushing attack of the Cardinals?
Yeah, so entering this year, we were really excited because Benson always had that one-for-one replacement ability. And there's a reason why he was picked up in so many leagues. And frankly, any competitive league, he was not available out on waivers this week. Right. That said, weeks 1 through 3, we saw quite a split in terms of the usage between Conner and Benson. I'm curious if that sticks, and we see that with a guy like Amari DeMarcado as that RB2 guy filling in. If it doesn't, it's a good spot for Benson just to be a volume hog. The matchup's not fantastic. The Seahawks are holding the position to just 3.16 yards per carry, fifth lowest mark in the league. The Cardinals have been very pass heavy to start the year. So I think that's at least a good thing for Benson's outlook in terms of being a pass catcher. He's picked up 7 catches over the last 2 games, and that's while working with James Conner. So maybe I'm leaving that door open for him to still be a viable fantasy play, but I know we all spent a lot of fab, whoever went out and grabbed him. And I know we've been sitting on him, having him on our benches for a while. This is just not the opportune ceiling matchup for Benson in my eyes. I think he's probably more of a back end RB2. Mm-hmm. So we're getting a lot of questions of like him versus Swift versus Walker versus Charbonnet. Right. Who am I playing? Right. And it's, I guess Benson's just kind of a fine play, especially when you consider Swift's battling injury. I don't want to dive too far into that, but it's just not an exciting matchup for me for Benson, who faces a tough run defense. The Seattle Seahawks are also getting a little bit healthier. And then Arizona enters this one with 4 banged up offensive linemen. So the final injury report is going to be very, very important for this Arizona team. I'm just thinking Benson's probably more of like the RB20-ish range than RB10. Okay.
Tyler Breaker, fantasyguru.com. And again, I don't disagree with that. And the rankings don't disagree with that either over at fantasyguru.com. What about Seattle? Walker, Charbonnet, Walker, Charbonnet. Charbonnet is going to play tonight after sitting out last week. What's your feeling on the backfield this week in the matchup with the Cardinals?
Tough one again. I mean, Charbonnet practiced in full, so we're going back to that 50-50 split that we saw them to begin the year. Arizona's middle of the pack in rushing fantasy production allowed, but they are number 1 in most receiving fantasy points allowed of the position, which we know Kenneth Walker last year, a lot of catches. We know this offense here in terms of it being the scheme-wise a team that wants to target their backs as well. But yeah, you can also say like that's also a byproduct of their schedule. I mean, they faced Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Warren, Alvin Kamara. You're probably going to get a lot of fantasy receiving points to those types of backs over rushing production. So I'm kind of viewing these guys in that same like back end RB2 territory. Walker, I'd play over Charbonnet for sure. Charbonnet more of like a flex play, but again, nobody's on bye yet. I wouldn't be trying to jam in this guy coming off injury on a short week. I mean, yeah, he's got 10 days of rest, whatever, but I wouldn't be trying to jam him into a suboptimal matchup as a flex play when you've got your whole bench at your disposal.
Tyler Baker, fantasyguru.com. Let's stick with Seattle. Let's talk about the receiving group. Obviously, Njigba's catching 5 for 95 every week, and he's doing his thing. Cooper Kupp hasn't really done anything. Troy Horton is scoring special teams touchdowns. He's scoring touchdowns. So a lot of people are starting to look at Troy Horton. I still would say Kupp ahead of Horton if I'm looking at this week. But I also think it's fair to consider picking up Horton because we do know that Kupp obviously has health concerns. And if he goes down, it certainly looks like Troy Horton's the next guy up. So, or Troy Horton, excuse me. What are your thoughts on Horton and Kupp overall and in the matchup tonight, Tyler?
The matchup's great. I mean, this Cardinals cornerback room is a disaster. They've lost Sean Murphy Bunting, they've lost Garrett Williams, and they've lost Starling Thomas to IR. Their round 2 cornerback they drafted in this year's NFL draft, Will Johnson, looks like he'll miss a 2nd straight game with a groin injury. So it's a great spot for JSN and whoever else is out there at wide receiver. Cup has just been like a disastrous play. He's just not really on my radar. As far as the Horton stuff goes, he was just a little bit behind Cooper Kupp in route participation last week. So he's slowly growing. 50% in week 2, 62% in week 3. So maybe we're going to see Horton out there a bit more, but this screams to be more of a JSN game and a game where we lean on the rushing attack, where it's just going to be a lot of punts, maybe a lot of field goals, and whichever team does the fewest turnovers ends up getting the win here. This game just doesn't scream like a back and forth, high-paced, high-scoring matchup in my eyes.
All right, we got to go back to Arizona. We got to talk about the drop heard around the world. Not quite, but I think the Marvin Harrison, 2 drops last week, but the one where he's standing there and it's, okay, it's emblematic of what has gone on here. Last year, Marvin Harrison was fine. Wasn't expected to be fine. Wasn't drafted to be fine in fantasy. He was fine for a rookie. This year, come on, kid, right? So where are we at now? Again, you can focus on the drops. That's fine. But I've said this repeatedly. Kyler Murray has produced 1 season at the wide receiver spot in his entire career of 1,000 yards. He is, wants to have the child of Trey McBride. So there's that. So are we starting Marvin Harrison this week? Is he a wide receiver 3? Is this another Calvin Ridley scenario? Like, what's going on here with Harrison tonight and moving forward?
It's tough. Man, I want to be optimistic and not just be like a negative person on the show, but it's hard to find good, positive things to talk about Harrison. The connection with he and Kyler is just not there. When the drops are just inexcusable, though. Like those were just point blank on him. Right. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, to be honest. I wish that there was an answer where I could give you, but right. It's just a struggling situation for a guy that just is also in a bad matchup here to try to turn things around. It's a good cornerback group, good safety group. We'll see the final inactives and everything here for Seattle's back end too, who's also missed a few guys over the last few weeks, but they look like they're getting healthy. Bringing back Witherspoon, huge for the slot, and then they got guys like Reek and Job on the outside. It's just not a fantastic matchup for him. I think it's going to be a better spot for Trey McBride, which rinse and repeat. That's an evergreen statement where it's just where Kyler looks. He looks more towards those drags and underneath routes that McBride runs over the vertical patterns that we see Marvin Harrison Jr. doing. So I don't see it getting any better. I think he's a borderline wide receiver 3/wide receiver 4, and that just stinks for anybody that took him in round 3.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Tyler, you often have a bet for us. I know your bet last week hit, right? Your Bills bet. Yep. The trifecta there, the parlay. You got something else for the folks this week?
I do, and it's building on my negativity. We are going to spin this in a positive direction and talk about field goals.
Okay.
I'm taking the Arizona kicker, Chad Ryland, over 1.5 field goals made. The reason for this, Seahawks rank number 3 in lowest red zone to touchdown conversion rate in the league through the first 3 weeks. Arizona, middle of the pack in that stat offensively. They were the same middle of the pack rate they were last year. And Ryland has just been fantastic. He's hit 2+ field goals in every game so far this year. He's 12 for 13 in Arizona at home over his career, including a perfect 4 for 4 from 50+ yards out. And the Seahawks opponents, this is the cherry on top, the Seahawks opponents are averaging 3.0 field goal attempts per game against them. Low scoring game. I'm expecting some stalled drives and some mistakes, particularly with a beat up offensive line, particularly with a new running back. And we'll see probably 2 to 3 attempts for Ryland to get this. I like this over 1.5 field goals made. We were getting it at -110 when I posted it yesterday.
Right.
It's been steamed up though. People are in on this play. I'm seeing it now -130, -140. So get in now. Don't drag your feet.
It's always the greatness of the wagering side of things too. I know you've talked about tackle stuff before. You're now talking about a kicker. Like we're so used to in the fantasy space of touchdowns and yards. It's like there's a lot of other places that if you really dig in, you can find some good stuff. And Tyler and the crew over at fantasyguru.com do that because it's not always just about touchdowns and yards. Don't forget to go to fantasyguru.com right now. You can always send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. But click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up right now for the rest of this month before we cut the deal off. It's buy one, get one free. Buy the DFS football package, get the wagering football package for free. Buy the wagering package, get the DFS football package for free. So get 2 for 1. And you can get more on this. Tyler talked last week. He says, what'd you say, Tyler? 20 bets a week? What are you normally putting out?
Yeah, roughly about that.
Yeah. And you said you haven't had a losing season since you started at fantasyguru.com. That's also correct, right?
Correct. Too. Slower start to begin the year. I want to be fully transparent. We've hit some bumps in the road, but we're starting off on the right foot here with the foot of Chad Ryland this week.
There you go. Yeah, Tyler Beaker joins us every Thursday. Remember, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. A couple of comments before we check out here. Here's one of the questions from Eric I. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier. The answer to this is no to both. You don't want to start either Iomanor or Ridley this week, do you? I mean, it's week 4. Hopefully you got better options than that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're almost touchdown chasing with Iomanor, who's gotten scores in back-to-back weeks, but I think he's a better DFS play because he's still priced under 4K on DraftKings. I would not go and redraft this way, though.
Eric did mention that with McLaurin's injury situation, he kind of so I guess that's a rough scenario right now.
Yeah, I think Iomanor, like, there's a lot of players that I think are out there on waivers that are a dime a dozen wideouts. I think Iomanor's above that tier, where I would be very comfortable playing him once we hit bye weeks. If, say, your bye week thing was accelerated because of McLaurin's injury, then sure, I could make an argument for this one.
Tony T says, can we expect better offense with Brian Callahan no longer calling plays? You're nodding your head, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans switched over to their QB coach to do the play calling. They just bypassed the offensive coordinator. So we'll see how that one plays out. I'm just happy it's something different because it's clearly not working these first 3 games. But I do want to say it's very opponent-driven. They've been under a lot of duress. Having 2 starting offensive linemen out hasn't helped either. It's not going to get better against the Houston Texans pass rush. We're going to have to wait till week 5 for some benefits.
Ethan also had a follow-up question. He's got a trade here. Pittman and Judkins for Rashee Rice. I'm 3-0, and the Rice owner is falling apart due to injuries. This is why it is so difficult. And Brandon Ayuk's another guy that we've talked about a lot here recently in Discord. Really tough to be holding injured guys. Chris Godwin. It's fine in theory to hold an injured or suspended guy, but as soon as the injuries start, next week, bye week start, there will be teams that will be forced to make bad moves because of roster composition here. What do you think of this one? Pittman is a weekly play in a PPR setup. He's not a star or anything. He's a weekly play. Judkins certainly looks like a weekly play at the running back spot, even with the struggles that the Browns have on offense. Rashee Rice might be the best player. Are you willing to pay the price of Pittman and Judkins for him?
You know, I don't think I would, actually. I've been really impressed with the play of Pittman. So if we exclude week 2, when Pittman played against Defensive Player of the Year Pat Surtain, he's had some really strong stat lines. Michael Pittman, 6 for 80-1, 6 for 73-1. And now he plays the Rams this week in the highest scoring game of the week in a dome matchup where the Rams will be playing without their cornerback one and Ahkello Witherspoon, who's on IR. So I think the Pittman big games just keep continuing. So throw in the fact that Judkins looked like a beast running these last 2 weeks. He's been fun to watch. I don't know about the fantasy output, but I think once bye weeks start hitting, a guy like Judkins will actually have a bit more value. So I would hold for now, but I understand the play.
David M. is a dirty rat here, and I say that because he's in my listener league, and he's asking me to help him set a lineup. But no, I'm just kidding. David's got Kyler Murray, who we just talked about. He also has Jaden Daniels. We're not sure, and again, this is Thursday morning. As of right now, I don't know if Daniels is going to play. There's talk of him playing with a brace. There's talk of him saying, I feel good, but the doctors have to decide. I don't know if he plays. If we don't get clarity in the next 10 hours, or 5 hours, so I can't count, use the clock. If we don't get clarity before Thursday Night Football comes, don't you kind of have to go Kyler Murray? Like, it's a tough, the NFL sometimes screws you with the schedule. And I think for David, if we don't get firm clarity that Daniels is absolutely playing, if we get one of these, well, we'll have to wait and see kind of things like we did last week, I think you got to go Kyler Murray.
Yeah, you're stuck here because you can't pick up a third quarterback. That just doesn't make sense with these 2 options you specifically have. So I think you are stuck with playing Kyler for better or worse. The good thing is I think Kyler's at least got a high floor. He's not really going to like give you a 10-point outing. I think we're probably looking maybe at like a 15 to 16 game, which is fine. But ideally we're getting Daniels, who will take on the Atlanta Falcons. So I think you wait to make this decision until an hour before kickoff when we get final inactives. Or I'm sorry, wait until you get injury updates from the Washington Commanders and their practice reports this week. Today.
Final question from Rod. Half-point PPR. He's got a bench one. It's all right, Tyler. Don't worry about it. I misspeak.
Slurring over my words. What's going on here?
It's fine. It's fine. It's the internet. The internet's out. That's the problem. It's not. It's artificial. Rod's got a question. Half-point PPR needs to bench one. I look at this group, and it's another one of those questions. Like, some people have guys where it's easy to say, oh, those 3 guys shouldn't be playing. In Rod's case, this entire group of 5 are all startable. The question is, we have to bench one. Kenneth Walker, who we talked about, Judkins, who we talked about, George Pickens, who obviously ascends to the number 1 with Lamb out, Jacoby Myers, and Cortland Sutton. Again, for me, all start. It's not a question. They're all in there. I would look at this group and probably leave Jacoby Myers out. But again, I'd like to start him in most leagues. What do you think of this question, Tyler?
Yeah, I lean benching Judkins here. I know I was just gushing over him, but tough matchup, 10-point dogs against the Detroit Lions on the road. Lions held Derrick Henry to 50 rushing yards. So yeah, I think that would be the spot I would go. Judkins just seems to me like you're really just kind of hoping for an explosive gain on the ground, not involved as much in the pass game as the other guys have got there. So throwing the three back committee, the fact that they're 10-point road dogs, he'd be my bench spot.
Anders, final question he asked nicely. We overlooked this one earlier, so here we go. My wide receiver 3 is, I guess, DJ Moore. I have Juwan Jennings and Christian Kirk on my bench. Malik Washington's available, and there's a bunch of bench running backs. Do I make a drop? If Moore is your 3, Jennings is your 4, Kirk is your 5, you're okay. I think the real question, obviously, is we're kind of guesstimating here. Is Kirk and his 9.7 points a week better than Malik Washington and his 3.3 points a week? But that could be 15 a week if an injury happens or something goes on with Hill. I'm not in the mode usually of getting rid of running backs, though. Brashad Smith, I mean, we're hoping. As of right now, he's barely seeing the field. Yeah. They haven't run the ball in 12 months anyway. I was talking to somebody in Discord about when's the last time the Chiefs ran the football effectively? Like before Pacheco got hurt. Since that point, Brashad Smith, the drop here to add Washington. Kirk, the drop to add Washington. No drop to add Washington. What do you think? Are you going to drop Rodriguez?
I was looking at Rodriguez actually. He was who I was debating. Rodriguez versus Smith. I was also debating, do you even need to make this move? The Dolphins offense right now, is it really one we want to invest in? Right. Tua looks under duress constantly. They somehow got lucky in that Thursday night football matchup, but I expect them to fall back down to earth here against the Jets here in week 4. I'm not racing out to make this move. I'll say that. But if you want to get Washington, which I don't think you need to, I would rather have him over a guy like Brashard Smith. Rodriguez, I think I can make an argument for 12 to 15 touches. Smith, to me, is more just a change of pace option where we're probably just going to get, at best case scenario, like a handful of carries and a handful of targets. So I think Smith would be my drop if I wanted to make this move.
Thanks, Andres. And thanks to everyone for the questions and comments. Really appreciate it. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com, joins us on Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We talk over the league. We talk over Thursday Night Football. We take some of your questions. And he always has a bet for you all. So, Tyler, thanks for your time today. We kept you a little long. Appreciate it. Thanks for the hard work at the website. You will be hosting the DFS, which, again, you can sign up for the DFS and wagering right now, half off. You'll be hosting a live show on Friday night, correct?
Yeah, this buy one, get one thing is you're going to be seeing a lot of Tyler. So hop on in there. I'll be doing the DFS Core 4 live stream Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Been trying to book a guest for it. It's been a little bit of a headache this week, but we'll have a rotating set of our staff members here at Fantasy Guru come on every Friday to walk the slate with me. We've had a lot of fun in the past these past weeks. Our flag plant last week was Jonathan Taylor, who went absolutely nuclear, helped a lot of lineups. So hope to catch you guys with us there. And buy one, get one. This is a heck of a deal, guys. So take advantage of it while it lasts.
He ain't kidding. He's not just saying that because he works here either. It is a hell of a deal. We already have a lower price point than most sites anyway, and now we're talking about 2 for 1. So hit that subscribe tab in the top right corner or send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Tyler, appreciate it. We will see you here on this show next Thursday. Have a good night. Have a good rest of the week and weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Good luck, everyone, tonight.
He's Tyler Beaker. I'm Ray Flowers. We'll be back here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. On Friday, we're talking baseball the first half of the show, and then we'll visit with Russell Clay, and we'll talk some football because that's how we roll here on Fantasy Sports Daily. For Tyler, I'm Ray. We're out. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This has been powered by fantasyguru.com, as it is every single day. Talk to you tomorrow.